Hey guys, this is Oracle Daphne. My name is Beth, and I'm back today to talk about the Mars retrograde. I'm also going to be talking a little bit about the energies that I feel what's going on, and Mercury retrograde. And just let everybody know I do have a full-time job, so I'm doing these recordings kind of hit and miss whenever I have a chance. People have asked me, am I going to be doing my horoscopes again? And it's interesting because right now I feel like the content that I want to create and do is really about empowering my viewers to make positive changes in their lives, to think about things maybe in a different way, to be kind of a positive influence. The horoscopes right now, if I was to do them, I feel like actually wouldn't be a positive influence. I know it's going to sound weird, but I feel like in some way it's like a crutch. And everybody at this time needs to really do some hardcore spiritual work and lifting. I want to say lifting, hardcore lifting, to get through all of the changes that are coming. And so as of right now, I'm not going to be recording my horoscopes like I used to. I'm not sure if I will return to those. I'm going to return to those when and if I feel like they're going to be empowering to everybody. And I know everybody misses them, but that's just kind of my reasoning and my feeling. So let's get started talking about what's going on with this Mars retrograde. And I really wanted to weigh in on this because I had a lot of thoughts regarding this topic, and Mercury retrograde also. So I took a lot of notes, so I'm basically going to be reading you guys my notes. And I'm recording this just so you know on the 4th of July. Happy 4th of July if you're watching this on the 4th, if I'm able to post this. Happy 4th. I hope everyone's safe and you're enjoying your day off if you have a day off. My notes were actually very surprising. I came up with a lot of things that I wasn't expecting to see. I want to give you guys some dates. So first and foremost, the Mars retrograde is started June 26, 2018 and ends August 27th, 2018. And then the Mercury retrograde starts, it hasn't started yet, starts July 26th, 2018 through August 19th, 2018. Now, I added up the numbers, like just because numerology sometimes kind of, I'm curious about it, and they're very similar. The Mars retrograde added up to a 5, the Mercury retrograde added up to a 6. So very, very similar, very close. The dates are actually similar because Mars retrograde started on June 26th. Mercury is retrograding on July 26th. So the dates are similar. And to me, it's like two lessons that we're all kind of be going through at this time. To me, it's a lesson from the Mars retrograde, or many lessons for some people, and then the Mercury retrograde also a lesson there, because they're so similar. I just felt like there's going to be these two major lessons that come out for most people. And then I also want to talk briefly about the solar eclipse in Cancer. That is happening in the middle of all this on July 12th, 2018, which is coming up really quickly. The thing is that while everybody's really, really focused on Mars, people are forgetting that the sun is in Cancer. And my perspective is very much like the sun energy is very, very strong, and it's going to be kind of mixing with these other energies. So it's sort of just like a mix of Cancerian energy and also this Mars retrograde energy, as well as this Mercury retrograde energy. So there's that. I feel like things, and I wrote this down, things are going to be moving very slowly and then even slower. because once Mercury retrograde hits, everything to me just feels like if everything was trying to get ahead, trying to move ahead, Mercury is just going to add like kind of like a double whammy to it. And that energy I am not looking forward to. A lot of people are not looking forward to that energy. So I kind of, you know, did a little thinking about what is it that these two lessons are going to be like focused on? Like, what is the Mars retrograde energy focused on? And what is the Mercury retrograde energy focused on? And because they're so similar, numerologically speaking, they're both these retrogrades, it just feels like the lesson is, number one, in slowing down and reflecting on things. And also because the sun is in Cancer, and again, that has an added effect, or just, to me, it's a major effect. The sun is in the sign of Cancer, and everybody's going to be experiencing those kind of symptoms of the sun being in Cancer, this Cancerian qualities. Regardless, now, some people go by houses and go by what you're going through personally, and I'm not talking about that in this video. So if you want to talk to an astrologer and have them break it down, what house it's going to be affecting, and what specifically it's going to be doing for your sign, you're more than welcome to. It's just that's not my focus. This is my general vibe, how this can be affecting basically everybody. So I feel like things are going to be slowing down, and the eclipse happening in the middle of this is kind of like, I thought of it like the universal photographer showing up and taking a picture without the flash, because the sun, obviously it's a solar eclipse, of how these lessons are playing out, how you're doing. It's sort of like a checking in with your progress. Typically, I'm not a big fan of solar eclipses because I feel like we get our positive vibes from the sun. The sun energy to me is like joy energy. It's like this natural nutrient dense energy for us as spiritual beings and as physical beings in the universe. And when there's a solar eclipse, it's sort of like we don't get that for that period of time. And that little period of time has an effect, whether it's a big effect or a small effect. Some people could argue those points, but I definitely feel like with the sun being eclipsed, it is more of like a drain on our energies, and it is more a drain in general because it is that life-giving, nutrient-dense type positive energy that is getting eclipsed. So we have that. Now, the thing that I want to talk about, and some of you may not like what I have to say here, but I am going to say it because it is super important. I have been noticing recently, and some of you may have noticed this, and this may be nothing new to a lot of people, but it seems like everywhere I go, no matter where that is, whether it's the gym, whether it's out for a walk, everybody is on their cell phone. Everybody. I saw a crowd of people waiting for, I don't know, some kind of thing I don't know if it was school or it was a party or something. It was a crowd of people. Nobody talked. Everybody was on their cell phone. The reason I'm bringing this up now is because I want to bring light to things, and I want people to have kind of an eye-opener here. The thing about the cell phones, what bugs me, is that we're getting distracted from things, other things that we could be doing, other things that may have our attention. I definitely feel those of you who are on your cell phone 24/7 or texting 24/7, this is going to be the biggest challenge. I think that because the sun is in Cancer, and to me, Cancer is very technical. It's all about the little details. My challenge to you is to really pay attention to how much you're using your cell phone. If you're using it 10 times a day, you need to cut it down to 2. If you're using it 60, you need to cut it in half to 30, okay? You need to try to make a change in your perspective and where your focus and your energy is going. If everybody started to really focus on other things other than this very, to me, almost narcissistic, self-absorbed cell phone usage, then I think actually there'd be a lot more positive things going on, because we would be able to put our energy into more positive directions. And some of you may feel like this is me preaching. I have a cell phone and I use it. I am not saying I don't use it. I'm not going to say I don't check it. There's little things that you can do to make a change here. And I'm challenging you to make a small change. Those of you who have your phone on vibrate, it needs to go silent. You need to put it on silent, period, for a period of time and see how your nerves kind of react. If you're the kind of person that has high anxiety, you're highly nervous, you need to basically turn your cell phone off and check it once a day. Some of you who have kids, it needs to be on silent and you can check it every couple of hours, but it can't be constant. The thing about the cell phone usage is that it's kind of ramping up this sort of nervous, anxious energy. And because the North Node, I'm just going to say this, is in Leo, and the South Node is in Aquarius, the Aquarius energy is very fast moving. But if we're all moving very, very quickly and we're all in this highly anxious, our nerves are kind of fried, everything's fried, and we're kind of sustaining off of caffeine and donuts, we're going to become really unhealthy because we won't be able to relax. And we're not going to be in our heart space. And when we're not in our heart space, how can we have relationships? How can we be in that loving, open, heart-centered Leo space? Giving, generous. And I can't tell you how many people I come across who they wouldn't know how to be giving or how to be loving if their life depended on it. They would not know. They are absorbed in their own world. Maybe they're absorbed in their cell phone. Maybe they're absorbed in their own stuff. But this North Node Leo is really not supporting that. I don't like how the cell phones are distracting us and how, to me, it's like a mind control thing that's happening. To me, it's leading to a deterioration of the outer world. Once we become so obsessed about our inner world, and the inner world is showing up in our cell phone and our individuality and all that, to me, it's like we're getting kind of corralled into this corral, like herded. Okay, I want to say herded, like sheep. And we're not paying attention. We're not paying attention to what's happening. And I think on a psychic level, there's a lot of shit that's going down. And I'm not a big fan of that stuff right now. I'm not a big fan of the planets being programmed to have these events in general. Why? Because it's a control. Everything is controlled. It's like it's all meant to control. And if you're using your cell phone, you're basically letting someone else control you. So those of you who are really obsessed with it this is to me like a time, because in order for you to really get through this energy, you're going to need to slow down. If you're moving at a very fast pace and you're like go, a million texts a day, you're checking your cell phone like a million texts a day, you're highly anxious, you're highly nervous, everything's going to turn to shit really quickly because your energy is not slowing down. Now it's interesting because I posted a video about how the energy feels like there's this kind of ramped up energy, and I feel like to me it feels really push-pull. I feel like the energy is ramping up to push people. The vibration is very strong to get people moving, but at the same time with the retrogrades, people still need to learn how to take time out and to slow down and to reprioritize and to refocus. on things that are important. So my question to you, okay, so my challenge, okay, going back to my challenge, if you are using your cell phone a million times a day, you need to cut it down. Cut it down. If your phone is on vibrate, you need to turn it silent. It needs to go off when you sleep, and you can't sleep with it. That's my challenge to you. And I want you to write in the comments below, maybe in a week's time, or you can do this in 24 hours time. See how you feel. This is the challenge. See how you feel. Can you sleep better? Do you relax more? Are you more focused on maybe doing things that you maybe didn't have time for before? I'm getting a tingle on this. This is stuff that we need to really, really focus on. Would you go outside for a walk? Would you spend more time with your kids? Would you just pick up some projects or hobbies or things that you could do for yourself that don't have to do with your cell phone? Some of you, it's also long-term goals. The sun is in Cancer. It's activating that Capricorn energy. Mars is Capricorn going into Aquarius and then going back to, I think it's going back to Capricorn again. So it's like that Capricorn energy also is at play here. And that Capricorn energy is about having security, having a solid foundation, and making things happen, but in a healthy way. Setting long-term goals, having goals. Capricorns are the best at goals, having a long-term vision about where things are going. So you need to reflect on how you spend your time. You need to reflect on your long-term goals, 5 years, 10 years, where you really see yourself going. To me, it might feel like this Mars retrograde and plus Mercury retrograde may feel really like a stagnant time, but it's a time to really figure out what you're going to do long-term. It's not necessarily about implementing it now, because the energy may or may not support that right now. For you personally, it's going to depend on each person. Those of you, I'm asking the question, how would you spend your time differently? Okay, I want you to really think about that. Would you go out on more dates? Would you spend more time with your loved ones? Would you get a divorce? Would you leave an unhealthy relationship? These are all, anything that's unhealthy, it's about letting go of, because this is the Cancer energy. Cancer, the challenge for Cancers and Scorpios too, are about learning how to let go of the bad and hang on to the good. Cancers are kind of, I don't want to say needy, but they are learning about having needs. And I feel like this Mars retrograde and Mercury retrograde time is really going to be about figuring out what your needs are, prioritizing your needs, getting your needs met, okay? Figuring out what are healthy needs and what's an unhealthy need, okay? What's healthy and what's not, because the sign of Cancer to me is all about health. It's all about healing. It's about nurturing. It's about nurturing yourself, but also nurturing and loving others. The positive side about this energy at this time is that in some way we are going to be kind of nursed through any kind of challenge that comes up. There is going to be family there. There is going to be friends there. There's going to be some sense of comfort during this time that may seem like a roller coaster ride. Okay. So moving on, I want to talk about, to me, this Cancer Capricorn thing that's happening. To me, the Cancer sign is about comfort and family. The Capricorn is about security and going it alone and meeting long-term goals. To me, it's about career, okay? We do need to reach out to family. And flying solo at this time may be challenging, maybe really, really challenging. Singles that are watching, you may have a really hard time figuring out how to meet your own needs, how to make your, basically have your basic needs met. There's also this thing about things breaking down unexpectedly, or things deteriorating, because Cancer holds on to things until things deteriorate. It doesn't know how to let go. it hangs on to the old, and the old can deteriorate right in front of them, and it just like they don't see it. So to me, it's about having the clarity. Mercury retrograde is about clarity, figuring things out, slowing down enough to figure things out. And with Mars retrograde, it's not about rushing, you know? To me, this is extreme. To me, there's an extreme thing about not rushing here, not speeding, not going too fast. Going back to that ascension wave of energy that I felt was happening, the energy getting ramped up, there is this extremes that are happening. And with the retrograde, with the Mars retrograde specifically. So be careful about, just be careful about rushing through things, paying attention to what you're doing, paying attention. If you are fixing things or getting things fixed, make sure that, make sure that you take it, like if you're getting something done, make sure you're taking it to somebody who knows what they're doing. Okay, number one. Okay, whether you're getting your tooth fixed or whether you're getting your car fixed or whatever it is that you're getting fixed. It could be a little part for your, something in your apartment. I don't care. Whatever it is, make sure you're paying attention to the details. Okay. There's also a lot of, to me, like there's a breakdown in stuff, like broken communication, hurt feelings. To me, this is very male, female, because Cancer is like the ultimate like goddess, okay? She's like the female goddess. She is nurturing. She's the natural mother. She like tends to her flock. You know what I mean? To me, this is like the stay-at-home mom. Cancer is just like the stay-at-home mom. Somebody who may be, I'm not saying all Cancers. I mean, I've met a lot of hardworking Cancers and very career-oriented Cancers. I'm not saying that, but to me, Cancer is very nurturing and mothering. And so to me, there's this like kind of War of the Roses energy that could be happening, where to me it's like the ultimate feminine, because the sun is in Cancer, it's the ultimate like feminine energy versus this Capricorn thing that's happening, which to me is very masculine. It's very masculine. Now, I think Capricorn technically is like a feminine sign. I don't really feel that, though. I've always felt that Capricorn to me is a very masculine energy. It's like the guy who nails, he's a good carpenter. He works with his hands. He does things. To me, it's just like he's the Mr. Fix-It kind of person. This is also about healing old wounds, because Cancer has to do with the old. So to me, there's a lot of stuff here about the elderly. There's a lot of stuff here about healing things with family. This is about healing an old wound, potentially, having a conversation that kind of that lays things to rest, buries the hatchet. Things could have been brewing for a long time, and then finally you have this Mars retrograde happens, and then it's like you're healing something that's very old, or old relationships with, family, old hurts with family specifically. I feel like there's something there about that too. This is a positive thing. I feel like that's going to come out of this Mercury Mars retrograde. I wrote and I underlined, expect heavy delays. Heavy delays. I wouldn't be surprised if people couldn't actually leave the house for like reasons, outside reasons. Could be flooding issues, could be like weather stuff. I just feel like this is a time to expect seriously heavy delays. It's funny because I was thinking about this in the shower this morning, and I wanted to point this out, that I think it was last weekend, we had, I live in Nebraska, in the Omaha area, and it was serious flash flooding, and I didn't leave the house. I didn't leave the house because I was my whole driveway was like a river, and I was like, okay, I got this notice on my phone, and I was like, I really shouldn't leave my house. Because it's severe weather. And instead, I did all these kind of Cancerian kind of things, which is funny. I did all this cooking and cleaning, and I got all this stuff done, and I actually read a book that was really good, and I don't know, it's just, and then the following day I had to do all this stuff that I didn't do that day. So I definitely feel like that may happen for some of you. You may have some kind of delay in maybe you know, maybe it's like going out somewhere. Maybe it's like you have a date or you have something you have to go do, and then it's delayed until the following day, or something like that. I'm not saying it has to be that, but I'm saying it could be something like that. This is not a time to be pushy or push for an outcome in anything right now, or rushing to get someplace. Because again, it's that double whammy of the Mercury retrograde and Mars retrograde. My question also for you is to think about what were you doing the last Mars retrograde. And I didn't write down the dates, but you can Google, you know, Mars retrograde. I think it was in 2016. So this is just something that maybe, you know, you need to think about, because if whatever was going on then, if things haven't changed since that time, I definitely feel that things are going to change, because the lesson for Cancer, the sun is in Cancer at this time, is that we need to learn to let go. And usually Cancers let go when they get hurt. And so that is it's a very hard lesson to learn. But I'm really hoping that people let go of things naturally. The funny thing is that there's people that don't let go of things ahead of time because maybe they feel like they're blocked in for, you know, kids or financial reasons or whatever. They don't let go ahead of time. The Cancer is somebody who doesn't let go ahead of time. They don't plan that far ahead. The Capricorn is the one that plans far ahead. Cancer really doesn't. The Cancer is just like go with the flow, just kind of like, you know, loop-de-doo, and then finally when it hits them that they need to plan ahead, you know, a lot of shit goes down. A lot of things, they become really unhappy because they weren't planning ahead. They weren't thinking ahead. The Aquarius energy is about thinking ahead. So, you know, to me, this is like being very emotional, you know, at this time, not thinking clearly, not thinking ahead, needing to think ahead, needing to rethink things, needing to reevaluate old stuff, maybe throw out stuff that's like old or broken or whatever, and clean house. To me, that's kind of what it feels like needs to happen. You do need to look how far you've grown since the last time Mars retrograded. That's something else I wrote down. This is an opportunity to resolve things that maybe things weren't resolved at that time also. So yeah, I wrote down with this, you know, Mars being retrograding, and the sun is an emotional water sign. The energy is going to be kind of a combo. Lots of emotion, lots of exhaustion, lots of issues with family, and then lots of issues with work. And or issues around the house too, because to me the Cancers, to me it's all about the house, it's all about home. So this is all about needing to set and keep boundaries as well. You know, some of you are going to be like, okay, I can't push forward at this time. You maybe feel like you can't get things done. That's okay. I feel like later the energy is going to be more supportive of that. So if you need to take a break, take a break. Cancers also don't even know like their boundaries. You know, the Cancer is the person that works all day and doesn't eat because they have some idea in their head that you know, they're going to gain weight. That's the Cancer, you know. Cancers need to eat right and sleep right and take care of yourself. So I'm going to harp on that here in this video a little bit because the sun is in Cancer. There's also something about extreme mood swings or extreme masculine feminine imbalance. I kind of touched about that before. Cancer to me is the person that gives so much of themselves and they just don't get as much back in return as they should. So there may be a delay in receiving. To me, this is about delays in receiving stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if something that you ordered gets delayed. You don't get it for a little bit. So be careful if you're trying to like place a big order on something. Make sure you call ahead, make sure you follow up, make sure that, you know, all the payments and stuff have gone through. The thing about the Cancers is like, you know, they feel guilty when they don't spend time with family. The Capricorn feels guilty when they're not working, when they're having fun. So there's this thing about that energy. Some of you may feel like guilty because you're not spending enough time with your family, or something comes up that you have to take care of at work, and you have to do that, and you have to focus on that. You know, some of you who really need to let your hair down and have some fun, you may feel guilty for that. You may go out and you may have a great time, and then like the next day you may feel like kind of guilty, like, you know, like you were supposed to be working or something. And to me, the Capricorn energy is a very old energy about enslavement. And I want to talk about that here really quickly. It's a great time to think about this, that in some way we are all very much enslaved still. And that Capricorn energy about having to work and prove yourself through work and make a living just to survive and pay bills, to me is a very old, outdated energy and belief system, which does need to go. And for men especially, because to me it's like ingrained, and pretty much every male that I've ever met, his ego is caught up in what he does for a living and how much money he makes and how much he provides for his family. It's just sort of ingrained in him naturally. It's like a program. The thing is that it's very outdated, and self-worth needs to come, and females too, self-worth needs to come not necessarily from what you're doing for work. Because to me, that's that, again, the whole enslavement thing, working is about enslavement, and that is an old energy that is deteriorating, and I do feel like it's eventually going to go, but we're a long way off from that. So I don't want to get too far ahead, you know, in energy here, but I definitely feel like that's something that I want people to think about. I want you to really think hard about, especially guys that are watching, about how much are you basing your self-worth off of what you do for a living and how much money you make. I really want to challenge you there with that. Okay, so I wrote, best case scenario with this energy, we muddle through an emotional roller coaster, we prioritize, we don't overwork, we let go of the old or fix old things. To me, there's a thing about fixing old things that we can repair. We need to embrace this time, because to me, Cancer, it's like Cancer rules time, because they are kind of a, you know, a little bit obsessed with the past. So we need to embrace this time as kind of a gift to reflect on things, to slow down, and to take some time for ourselves. We need to examine our old hurts, and give ourselves some credit on our personal journey. Give yourself a little pat on the back and say, you know what, I've done a lot. You know, even if you feel like you haven't, you've still done a lot. It's about holding onto our seat kind of a little bit at this time, but also working to build a secure foundation for ourselves that is healthy. Okay, it's not about becoming miserly. Okay, so self-worth, issues of self-worth are all going to be called into question at this time. And also, there's this thing about waiting for things to happen, waiting for things to come, waiting things out. Cancer is that very receptive energy. It's all about receiving. It's not about going and making something happening. Capricorn's the control factor that's like, we'll force something, we'll make it happen, let's go do this, let's fix this. So watch, you could fall under the Cancer energy or fall under the Capricorn energy, or somewhere in between, where you were like, you know, you really want to make something happen, and others, you may not be making something happen enough. Like you may have been waiting for a really long time for stuff, and I'm not encouraging you at this time to wait. I'm just saying that the energy right now isn't really about, it's gonna feel very polarized. It's not really about forcing things or just simply waiting for everything, but because of Mercury being retrograde and Mars retrograde, to me this is like a double delay. So if you're waiting on something, it may take longer than you expected, and but I definitely feel like things are going to be coming to you that you're not expecting. It's interesting. I'm going to use this example. I really don't have any furniture. Since I moved, I do not have furniture. I have a bed and I have a lamp, and I just found a table that was outside. Somebody must have been moving, and I brought it into my apartment. I now have a table and 4 chairs. And that was really cool. That was kind of like a gift from the universe. So be open to things like that. Be open to the universe kind of gifting you at this time. So yeah, this is all a good time to take some notes on things. Write things down, journal, be reflective, and get organized, okay? Going back to the last thing I'm going to say here, I don't want to go too long in this video, is about relationships, relationship needs. This is a time where you need to really figure out if your needs are being met in a relationship, if you're in one. And if your needs are so much that you can't leave a relationship because you're, I don't want to say the words codependent, but you're afraid. To me, there's a lot of codependency things that are coming up. To me, Cancer is a natural codependent. It's not that Cancers can't be independent. It's just that they do things from an emotional place. And sometimes when you do things from an emotional place, you don't have the perspective. So the Mars being retrograding in the Aquarian energy, Aquarius, needs to be about detaching and taking a time to have that reflection and being like, okay, you know what, these are my needs. This is what I'm going to do to meet those needs. Rather than not really thinking about it. Or rather than not planning ahead and just kind of going with it. You know, if you just kind of go with the flow in this energy, you may be swept adrift. And I'm talking specifically about people who are in relationships. It's hard though, because sometimes, again, we are not in that heart space energy. We're just in that space of like doing what needs to be done and making sure everyone's fed and everyone's, you know, clothed and taking care of stuff. But to me, it's about thinking things through, and examining whether your relationship is codependent or not, or if you're there because of your needs, or are you there for real? That's the question. Cancers need to, especially if you're born into the sign of Cancer, you need to really examine where you're at with the relationships. If you're single, this is about figuring out how to, if you're ready to have a relationship. That's the question. If you're ready to have a real relationship, if you're in that emotional space and you're ready. It's interesting, you know, I was thinking about this, about like, you know, would I recommend at this time getting into something new and getting into a relationship with Mars retrograde and Mercury being in retrograde? I would not encourage anyone to get married at this time. That's number one. I always tell people to live their life no matter what's going on with the planets, but I think to me it's about deterioration more than supporting building something new. So if I was to say, you know, do I feel like this is a time that really supports building of relationships? I feel like no, the answer is no. But I do feel like it's about healing relationships or healing old relationships. So there's that. Yeah, I think that's all that I want to say. Thank you guys so much for your love and support. I definitely want to shout out to a guy in the UK named Jeff. He continues to be supportive of me, and I just want to say hi, Jeff. Thank you so much for being awesome, and thank you for everyone else for supporting and liking and sharing my videos. I really appreciate it. If you would like to get a private reading, you can check out my website, oracledaphne.com. You should also follow me on Instagram, because I do post a lot on Instagram about things. I don't always post astrology stuff, but you know, you never know, you might like what I've got on there, my content. And yeah, I will hopefully talk to you guys again soon. Again, I send everyone big hugs, big kisses, and I wish you guys all the best. All right, take care.